So yeah, our spring decorations are up. We've got a lot of butterflies and Easter rabbits and
Brian Jennings is the co-owner of Number 1 Fifth Avenue, one of San Diego's oldest gay bars. It's cozy, divey, and always has some kitsch decor hanging from the ceiling.
for every different season, we've got a different theme, and we're very, very well known for our holiday and Christmas decorations.
Number 1 also has an open-air back patio that hosts karaoke, dance parties, and drag shows. It gets noisy late at night, and that's likely to cause some issues with a brand new 7-story apartment building next door. 16 balconies open directly onto the patio.
The developer actually approached us and made us an offer in order to sell the bar to them, as well as the real estate, at a fairly significant profit in order for them to incorporate this property into their development.
Jennings was not interested. He bought the bar in 2019 to ensure its preservation as the neighborhood continues to grow. Still, he knew owning a noisy business next to dense housing was a recipe for conflict.
Where I've studied it in other cities, a lot of times the bar owners spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal fees in order to fight, and after years of fighting the neighbors and the neighborhood, they always lose. And so what we're doing is we're trying to build a structure that will make sure that our sound is contained and we can still continue to coexist next door. It's going to cost us several $100,000s to do this. This is a very large investment. It's one of the largest investments that this bar has ever seen in history. And we're taking a big risk, but we believe that we can make it work.
City planning officials last month released a new draft of Hillcrest's long-term growth plan. They're trying to capitalize on the neighborhood's walkability and proximity to public transit and major employers like hospitals. The plan would allow a lot more housing, even high-rises, as long as they include new public gathering spaces like mini parks and plazas.
The future is in urban development.
Susan Jester is a longtime lesbian activist and has been a fixture in Hillcrest for decades. She says the bars here are more than just places to go drinking. They're a refuge.
I couldn't go down to the Gas Lamp Quarter or anywhere else in town to dance with my partner in 1980, but I could come here. And same thing with mourning a lost friend or organizing our community. It's sacred ground to us. And we want to keep it not just for us and for the history, but going forward so that young gay people, LGBT people come here and continue to feel that this is a safe and protected spot for them.
Jester got involved in planning the future of Hillcrest as the city was developing an LGBTQ cultural district. It calls for public art honoring the community's history here, and it requires landlords of new apartments to disclose to their tenants that this is an LGBTQ neighborhood with an active nightlife. Legacy businesses also get first dibs on new commercial spaces if their property gets redeveloped.
Some of the new developments, I could maybe afford a studio in some of them or nothing at all, depending on just how nice it is.
John Anderson is a renter in Hillcrest who's also been advocating around the neighborhood's growth plans. He says while he might not be able to afford those brand new apartments, somebody else can, and new housing can relieve the demand for Hillcrest's older homes that are more affordable.
I'm in a one-bedroom in a much more historic, older home. It was built in the 40s, so I can afford that pretty comfortably. When I went to renew, there was enough other vacant units in my building that they tried to raise my rent, and I was able to ask them not to, and they didn't.
Anderson hears the anxiety that some of his neighbors have around Hillcrest's current growth spurt. A lot of it is rooted in concerns about traffic. He says that's why the city wants to build out the bike, pedestrian, and transit network, so it's easier to live car-free, like he does.
But if you build these high-rises and you have the transportation network as it's being proposed in the plan, people will move here and they won't bring a car, or they might only bring one car. And that's going to be what allows the neighborhood to retain the charm that it has now, I think, while still bringing more people into the neighborhood to be able to live and afford to live here.
The public has until April 29th to comment on the growth plans for Hillcrest. It's expected to go before the city council sometime this summer. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.